It's time for this week's Here's How. This week, here's how to make Steve Hankley's wife leave him after his recent operation. Every afternoon, slip a different style of leaflet through the door about carers and about being married to the person you care for. Start making the woman on the picture look more and more like her each day. Start spreading some lies online about how tap water in their area is making people heal slower from operations and possibly causing infections in men that are Steve's age who have recently had similar operations to him. This means she's going to have to start carrying in water from the shop, which is heavy and will annoy her. You could use Bluetooth to upload loads of nurse and doctor porn onto his phone, maybe even sneaking his phone away to follow loads of sexy nurse, midwife accounts and therapist accounts on his socials and interacting with their posts, also that Mrs. Hankley can stumble upon it, or maybe have one of her nosy friends point it out to her. Weaponise her culture against her. Try and find people from a similar background to her and pay them to make videos about how it's unaccepted in their council estate to be with a man on crutches, or how in seaside towns it's considered bad luck to kiss a man with even a fraction of his arm missing. She'll see these other women online and eventually start to believe it herself because she'll be able to imagine these women are just like her. Just keep texting both of the phones off different numbers saying, "You up?" Whether they reply with a yes or a no, just respond with a second, "You up?" Maybe adding a "yeah" at the end, a little, "Are you up?" "Yeah." Try to time them for when you think either Steve or Mrs. Hankley is leaving the room to nip off to the toilet. Now this might take some practice. Apply for big things in Steve's name and have the documents, or at least, like the leaflets or something sent to their address. Information about fostering, adoption, buying a small boat, maybe even some sort of pamphlet for one of those elective hysterectomies or even a vasectomy. This'll drive that wedge between Mr. and Mrs. Hankley because she'll think that he's at home all day to recover, but he's secretly planning some form of life-changing decision for either himself or for her. When you see them at the shops, try to humiliate Steve by offering him a hand, if his surgery was on his arms. Maybe offer him a job to give him a leg up if the surgery was below the waist. Or even go as far to tell him and his wife that you believe it's always good to get stuff off your chest every once in a while if you believe the problem with one of his upper thoracic organs. Regardless of what you say, make sure to say it like you're comforting a child and look his wife in the eye the entire time. This might not be the nail in the coffin, but it's certainly going to open up the lid. Pay a group of youths to spray paint a disabled parking bay in the street outside their house. Then report those kids for doing it whilst pretending to be Steve, and also report the bay to a separate authority for not being a legally made road marking just to add to the stress of the household. Apply bed sheets to bridges that read, "Steve Hankley kissed my husband in Renterlee Hospital." Maybe a bit of graffiti in toilet cubicles that say stuff like, "Mr. Hankley likes to give a janky." Or, in the ladies' toilets, leave a nice glittery poster with sparkles and bright colours that has a picture of Steve in his bandages and it says, "My world," underneath it. A great way to impose your will on the Hankleys is to pay off the hospital DJ so that you can seep the idea into Mrs. Hankley's subconscious with a familiar twist on Islands in the Stream. "I know that when you met him that his skin was taut. Then a doctor had to try and fix his heart or his leg or arm. Now he's left with all these scars. Nurses try to explain that it's all routine. But you've been with this man since you were teens. You looked after your health. Why couldn't he do the same? Your body is fine, and now his has started aging. All these moving parts, but now his need greasing. I'm trying to tell you that I think that you deserve a fella with arms, legs and all his toes, both of his kidneys, a functioning heart, no more cataracts. I am saying that you need a new man, not one that's been put together like that. Mrs. Hankley, how'd you feel about that? Would you like to have sex with an old woman? I think I could arrange it with a nurse from F1, and if you play your cards right, you could catch another off the night shift. Please turn your back on Steve, go home, lock him out. He won't even have to sleep on Malcolm's couch, he's got his bed in here. He isn't even the full Steve. Maybe you've got on really well with the DJ, and he'll let you play a new version of your favourite Smash Mouth song. Steve, Hankley's wife is certainly looking kinda lonely. I think she needs to find a new man. Steve's been getting some work done on his kidneys and his bum, and now he shits in a bag on his leg. Well, the doctor's been, but they don't stop coming. Every 20 minutes and a man starts dribbling, a mind screaming out, telling her to run. Maybe try things with a neighbour, John. Or Mr. Shu, is he a Sikh? Steve always said that he is Chinese. It's all things that won't regrow. That bag on his hip will show. Mrs. Hartley, leave your husband, ring Graham. Mrs. Hartley, whip your tits out and get laid. You'll spend 30 years cleaning folds, driving adapted cars whilst he moans. And that's the end of this week's Here's How.